But John should not be underestimated, as he holds a master's degree from Cal Poly, and believe it or not, on the field he does run the Raiders. Last week, Oakland was in Denver, and Madden's opponent was ex-Stanford coach John Ralston, a man whose outgoing personality and straightforward style have won the respect of the Bronco players and fans. In Denver, the Raiders started poorly, and many early plays disintegrated in chaos. When things are going poorly for the Silver and Black, Coach Madden's hand starts pushing his hair. He paces a little, and the look on his face tells it all. Last Sunday, you could watch John Madden and know exactly how the game was going. So while Madden stewed, the Denver coaches prepped Jack Dalvin, number 82, to take advantage of Oakland's errors. Dalvin's score boosted the Broncos to a 17-7 lead. And when things get that bad, John Madden gets into some heavy pacing. Finally, in the third quarter, the Raiders got going. Ken Stabler's strike to Fred Biletnikoff made it 17-14 and turned Coach Madden into a cheerleader. A few minutes later, Stabler spun another strike to Cliff Branch in the end zone, and the Raiders were finally ahead. Then two short Pete Vanazak scores, and the Raiders were pulling away, and John Madden could allow himself to smile and loosen his tie a little. With a 35-17 lead and time almost gone, Oakland had merely to administer the kiss of death. League-leading punt returner Neil Colsey took this one to the Denver 8-yard line. And as John Ralston signaled frantically for a timeout, John Madden signaled that Denver's case was hopeless. Right now, the Raiders are the NFL's best defensive team, but last week it was their offense that exploded. With a mere few seconds left on the clock, John Madden could relax and get full enjoyment from Marv Hubbard's 7-yard pop, which made the final score 42-17 Oakland. Only then would John Madden allow himself a full-fledged victory smile. While Madden's mood is mellow, new Atlanta coach Marion Campbell has had little to be gleeful about. Last week in the Superdome, the New Orleans Saints danced through the Falcons and beat a tattoo of victory on the Mardi Gras. Going into the contest, the Saints had been the underdog because following the firing of John North, they were playing their first game for the new head coach, Ernie Hefferly. A great performance by Archie Manning and wide receiver Larry Burton finished the Falcons 23-7, making Ernie Hefferly and Bud Grant the only undefeated coaches in the NFL this season. There are many aspects to being a successful pro football mentor, and each coach is aware of the elements that spell the difference between winning and losing. For example, most head men dislike distractions because distractions can break the fine fabric of concentration. All too often, broken concentration means broken plays, which rank very high on any coach's hate list. Also high on the hate list is the freak play, the play which shouldn't happen to you, but does. Of course, it all depends on which side of the freak play you happen to find yourself. If it happens for you, you love it. If it happens to you, it raises the hackles. Perhaps the #1 bane of any coach's existence is poor execution by his own team, because this is a direct reflection on the week's practice sessions and on the coach himself. This is the kind of play that can make a grown man weep. Perhaps the only thing worse than being a coach who sees something like this happen is being the player who has to explain to the coach why it happened.
Traditionally, one of the NFL's best games can be seen in Washington's RFK Stadium when the Dallas Cowboys square off against the Washington Redskins. At the heart of this bitter rivalry stand two coaches with totally different coaching philosophies. Redskin head coach George Allen takes the emotional approach. His teams attack with simple, methodical precision and feature players long on NFL experience. By contrast, Cowboy head coach Tom Landry is a man not lent to outbursts of enthusiasm. His teams dazzle with the most complicated offense in the NFL, and thus far a splendid blend of youth and able veterans has produced a solid contender for Tom Landry. Last Sunday, Drew Pearson's touchdown handed Dallas a 14-3 advantage while still in the second quarter. Then Doomsday took over and began putting the heat on Redskin field general Billy Kilmer. Pressure by the Dallas Team D would force 4 first-half Redskin turnovers. Yet, despite the harassment, Kilmer stood tall in the pocket and closed the Cowboy advantage with one sudden shot. Number 46, Frank Grant, outraced the entire Dallas secondary with one Kilmer strike. Then in the third period, Washington tied the game at 17 with a Kilmer to Charlie Taylor touchdown connection. Having seen his club blow a comfortable lead, Tom Landry was, as usual, calm, for he knew his team had the ability to produce that one big effort good teams seem to produce to win. Then in the middle of the fourth period, that play came. Safety Cliff Harris returned Kilmer's pass for his first touchdown ever as a pro. And suddenly the Cowboys were leading 24-17 with barely 5 minutes remaining. Yet, as he had done all evening long, Billy Kilmer pressed the Redskin offense to the attack, easing through the Dallas defense with some steady passing. Tight end Jerry Smith scored from 7 yards out, and the Redskins tied it at 24 apiece. Sudden death now loomed on the horizon as the Redskins celebrated the comeback. But the party nearly ended as Dallas struck back quickly and from the shotgun formation moved into Redskin territory with a little passing luck. The Cowboys' good fortune finally ran out, however, as a missed field goal would leave the contest to be decided in sudden death overtime. Winning possession of the ball, Dallas quickly penetrated Redskin territory before a George Allen team trademark turned the momentum back to the Skins. Safety man Ken Houston's interception ignited the 55,000-plus Washington contingent into a frenzy as the end now seemed near. A Cowboy personal foul then pushed the Redskins to the Dallas 35, where Billy Kilmer maneuvered them the rest of the way. Mixing passes where necessary with bits and pieces of a ground game, Washington drove to the Dallas 1-yard line, where Billy Kilmer climaxed a brilliant game with a leap over center that earned Washington the victory 30-24. The world doesn't stop when you lose, said Tom Landry. You've got to look ahead to become stronger. And looking ahead 6 weeks presents another matchup between Tom Landry and George Allen, with the winner getting a shot at the NFC Eastern title.